Firstly, it's fantastic to be here. What a lovely place and weather. I've been traveling through Europe for about a week, but being in Visby is a different experience altogether in Gotland and in the university campus is fantastic. I would like to thank His Excellency Vasith for inviting me for this event. I've been here speaking online like Pramod, always wanting to be here, so here's the time I'm here. Thank you so much. And speaking after Pramod definitely makes my job a lot easier. And to your point, Rupali, I will definitely go through examples. I think what we heard from Pramod just now is essentially a way of thinking, a shift in approach of how we are looking at population scale problems. Definitely India has a lot of them. And solving for that by reimagining digital to this idea of digital public infrastructure. It's not a private infrastructure, it's not a private platform, but it's a bunch of Lego blocks. And I think it's interesting times that we are living in when pretty much everything that we do as an economy, all the economies across the world and societies, their resilience and their evolution definitely goes through the digital corridor. Digital has a lot of say, and the capacities of the economies to evolve and continue to grow and solve for problems, whether it's the access problems for the poor in India or the aging populations that we are seeing in parts of Europe. Digital has a phenomenal opportunity and also a sort of a threat in terms of how it can shape the future. And I think this approach of digital public infrastructure is sort of reimagining that and saying that can we bring innovation in the context of the problems of that economy while also allowing for inclusion. Inclusion, fair play, free competition, etc. I think that's one of the essence. And I think one example that I would talk about of this happening as we speak is the story of the informal auto rickshaws or the three-wheeler taxi drivers in Bangalore. So they decided, they heard about beacon protocol, they heard about ONDC using beacon protocol, and they reached out and said, is it possible for us, because we are from this city, the customers who take rides on us are from the city, should we be dependent on a technology from somewhere else? Can we take this into our own hands and offer a digital that empowers us, gives choices to the customer, and make this happen? So what we are seeing is today a totally decentralized ride-hailing system, a decentralized Uber because of the beacon protocol, and I'll talk about that in a bit, where you have no intermediary in between. You have taxi drivers as the suppliers, you have the consumers on the demand side. They talk to each other in a peer-to-peer network. This is an idea that took off as a pilot in November last year, and I'm happy to report that we have clocked 3 million trips already in the last 8-9 months. The first million was clocked, as you can see the numbers there, about 6 months, and the third million in 20, and I think we are soon closing the 4th million in about 18 days or less. Now, this is a story of how we have enabled 70,000 taxi drivers receive over $7 million worth of revenue without any commissions, any big charges paid to anybody in the center acting as the innovating digital intermediary, right? Now, this is one way to imagine. At the same time, to put this in context, and to promote response to Viral, it doesn't mean that somebody is getting displaced or the disruptor themselves are getting disrupted. This is, again, the story not of substitution or market expansion. This initiative is going to be part of a much larger formal network called ONDC, and I'll come to that in a bit. Probably I'll just say, I think I do. Yeah, Pramod spoke about it. This is a national scale initiative that's happening about how we imagined decentralized ride hailing. Can we imagine decentralized e-commerce for retail, for restaurants, for logistics, where if I am looking to buy something as a customer and the seller who's on any digital platform, not on the platform where I am on, we don't have to be on the same platform, but on different platforms and still discover each other without an intermediary. The same model being replicated across 200 cities today. It's kind of activated and saturating Bangalore as part of the beta file that is currently on. But Namayatri, the previous example, is joining this formal network because both of them use beacon protocol. And interestingly, some of these ride-hailing companies too are joining. So Uber, Ola are all slated to join ONDC. Because as Pramod just said, it's about deepening access, widening access, making it more inclusive. And the shift that has happened is has given power back to the society, back to free competition, where there are open networks, digital infrastructure with sort of unifying ground rules of how people interact without each sort of innovator solving it in silo or for their own benefit in a winner-take-all model. Now, this is possible because, if I can go back, sorry. I'm just being mindful of time. It's possible because of a very simple idea that you don't need to big, costly platforms or software. All it needs is actually deep thinking and building out standards, interoperable specifications, pretty much how the professors in the universities way back in 60s and 70s with packet switching and beyond thought about the protocols for the internet. All it required is to create this interoperable language, which was perhaps missing in the fabric of internet. Internet did not come with a buy or a sell button. Today, when you open a browser, you open up an internet banking site or an e-commerce, the browser wouldn't know the difference. So how do we make internet easily understand commerce? So backend is a sort of a standard on top of, you can imagine as top of internet, making even commerce interactions interoperable, decentralized, inclusive, and rapidly expanding. And the specifications, as Pramod just said, it's fully open source. Globally, we have this adoption across multiple sectors. I'll just quickly jump onto that. So today, in India alone, we are seeing adoption across 10 plus industries. Some of them are mentioned here, from mobility, grocery, food, logistics, EV charging, and microgrids, that is supplying energy back from your batteries into the grid. Healthcare, teleconsultations, we are looking at tele-law, skills and education, because fundamentally, what we are saying is there is a consumer-provider economic interaction. There's a producer-consumer economic interaction. Producer of learning, producer of healthcare, producer of content, producer of a mobility service. All of them can find each other without having to depend on somebody in the center. And the interesting part is these are not happening in silos. There is a combinatorial innovation happening. I can have all of this come together to offer a blended combinatorial experience. I can have an EV charging, also receive a coffee order if the EV charging is used by a delivery person on the bike. And that's possible so that you can bring all sorts of economic interactions seamlessly come through one fabric. And that's the fabric India is envisioning through ONDC, and for healthcare through Unified Health Interface as part of the largest health program in India, Ayushman Bharat Mission. These are some. And to your point, Rupali, about going beyond borders, we are seeing stories of students in Gambia trying to emulate mobility for Gambia. We're having conversations in Paris across culture, mobility. Of course, they have the big Olympic Games coming next year. How do we make the Paris region sort of enable the small businesses in Paris region and not just Champs-Élysées that gets the attraction of the tourists? We're talking about doing something with skilling and education in an Amazonian city called Belém. We're talking about doing mobility and hyperlocal in Amsterdam and so much more. Yeah, so I just thought I'll come here, talk about it, because definitely there's an opportunity for the conversations here in Almedalen in Sweden and to see what can be done, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.